All right, good morning, everyone. Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here back in Barcelona to talk to you about the latest and greatest of what's happening in enterprise networking. So first of all, let me explain the topic. Why is it cloud and the modern workspace? As Toby mentioned, I'm responsible for networking from users and devices to applications and data. More and more of the applications we're consuming are in the cloud. And more, we don't actually go to a physical place to do work. We work in any space that we occupy. And so, for me, these are two extremely important trends that are impacting how you think about networking. It's almost turning networking upside down. So now let's get into cloud and the modern workspace and what are the innovations that Cisco is bringing and what are the partnerships we're bringing to help you leverage and maximize the opportunity with these trends. So first and foremost, cloud is absolutely here, undeniably here. I think everybody understands it, everybody gets it. We wanted to understand the scale of this in a better way. So we ran some customer surveys, and what we found is more than 80% of our customers are using at least 2 public cloud providers. So nobody is using just one, more than 80% are using at least 2. And the majority have a hybrid environment. They still have applications in on-prem data centers, but they're also using a combination of maybe AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, or IBM Cloud. At the same time, we find that these customers are consuming 100 or more SaaS applications. They're paying for at least 30, but they're actually using inside their environment somewhere more than 30 SaaS applications. And the connectivity fabric that allows you to deliver the security and the experience you need end-to-end is the SD-WAN fabric. I'm going to talk more about that. Now let's talk about these verticals and why cloud is so important. In retail, how do I engage with my customers through every single channel and manage my data? In education, how do I deliver massive open courses like through Coursera? In healthcare, how do I take my patient data to provide better patient care, to provide better cures? In finance, how do I scale up and down during the busy season? And how do I use data analytics, again, to enrich my product? And in manufacturing, how do I track things through the supply chain very accurately and have a digitized supply chain? And when you look at the statistics from many analysts in all of these verticals, 1/3 of retail workloads, 1/2 of all the manufacturing software, and the CAGR, the growth rates expected for cloud, are tremendous. So why are all these applications and why are all these use cases moving to the cloud? Well, quite simply, cloud provides significant benefits. You're all very familiar with this. It is an automated environment. Scaling up and down, adding workloads, getting storage capacity is extremely simple, very agile. You can move very quickly. Application developers don't need to wait. You can move and create an application environment very quickly, and it provides tremendous flexibility on where you want to run your applications, how you want to develop, and how quickly you want to move. Now, what happens is you've got cloud happening on one side, and you've got the desire to adopt cloud, and you need to leverage the technologies available to address that trend. And at the same time, your users are predominantly mobile and are expecting to be able to work from anywhere. All right, so this comes back to my topic, which is how do we help you address the trends of the cloud and the modern workspace? Let's zoom in to the cloud network a little bit more. All right, many of you may be familiar with this, some of you may not be. When you think about what's happening inside AWS, inside Azure, inside Google Cloud Platform, you find networking constructs. You find transit gateways. Think of that as an edge router from AWS. You find VNets. You find peering requirements. You find shared services, identity providers that you need to connect into, remote users that you need to bring in, connectivity that you need to extend into an on-prem data center. There's a whole new set of orchestration tools, monitoring and visibility tools that each cloud provider provides. And there's other new vendors that are coming in providing tools to manage this environment. So when you look at all of this, yes, there's a lot of networking going on, but this is not about physical routers that are going between your sites and physical data centers. This is now a virtual network security and application services that may be natively provided by your cloud providers or that you need to instantiate and manage in a simple way. All right, so this can get very complicated very quickly, and the world is moving very rapidly. So we're providing an architectural approach to help you navigate this world of cloud. First thing I want to talk about is our SD-WAN strategy. The Cisco Secure Cloud Scale SD-WAN strategy says, doesn't matter where your users and devices are. They can be remote, they can be in the branch, they can be in a campus. They can be connecting from any method, 4G, 5G, MPLS, internet, satellite, doesn't matter. And then your applications or your services can be sitting anywhere. It could be in a carrier-neutral facility, a co-location. It can be a public cloud service. It can be a private data center. It can be a SaaS application. And what we are providing with our SD-WAN architecture is an ability to automate this entire environment, an ability to make sure you have visibility and analytics. You can deliver security at exactly the right place, whether it's in your branch site, inside the co-location, as a service using our secure internet gateway, or in the cloud itself, in the public cloud itself, as a virtual security service. And then last but not least, how can we help you optimize the application experience in this environment? But SD-WAN isn't the only solution you need from Cisco or the only solution you need to address the cloud needs. When you think about application deployment on-prem, there's three key technology elements that become important here. First, how do you provide that WAN connectivity for your users and select the best path? And that's SD-WAN. I just talked about the SD-WAN architecture. Then you think about how do I provide policy-based segmentation for my data center resources, my compute resources, for my network resources based on the application need. And that's where ACI, our application-centric infrastructure, comes into play. And then you think about where do I put my firewall, where do I put my IPS service, how do I implement security in this environment? And that's where our security portfolio with something like Cisco Defense Orchestrator to manage that comes into play. So those are the Cisco solutions that you would use for an on-prem deployment. And what we're doing is we're taking all of those solutions and making them available for the cloud. SD-WAN fabric extending into the cloud, ACI Anywhere Cloud ACI, enabling you to have the same policy control in the cloud. And then finally, Cisco Defense Orchestrator or tools like StealthWatch also working for your workloads in the cloud. So what we're after is how do we provide that consistent experience for you as IT for all your application environments, whether it's on-prem or in the cloud. But we cannot do this alone. We need to make sure that we're having the best industry-leading partnerships in order to deliver the solutions you're looking for. So I'm going to walk through some of the recent partnerships that we've announced. First one is with AWS. So if you're familiar with the AWS environment, they recently introduced this notion of a transit gateway. In the transit gateway, you need to be able to host in a transit VPC your SD-WAN virtual router to extend the SD-WAN fabric into AWS. So first and foremost, how do I move securely the traffic and pick the best path from my sites into AWS? And for that, we can extend the SD-WAN fabric. That's number one. Number two, we announced the capability of ACI to be able to not only manage policy for workloads and VPCs inside AWS, but AWS also provides an extension of their cloud on-prem using AWS Outposts. And you can use ACI, Cisco ACI, to manage policy inside AWS as well as in AWS Outposts by bringing their cloud on-prem. And then last but not least, AWS announced a new capability called ingress routing. And we're able to use the ingress routing feature to stitch and service chain security services, other services inside the cloud. And so you could have a virtual firewall instance, for example, and we can stitch the right traffic through that firewall and automate that experience. And then you can manage that firewall using Cisco Defense Orchestrator. And you can use StealthWatch Cloud to detect threats inside that cloud environment. So once again, taking SD-WAN, ACI, and security, and taking that portfolio and extending it through our partnership with AWS in all of those areas. Now, similarly, Microsoft has different constructs. So they have VNets, they have virtual WAN, they have the virtual WAN hub. We also announced a partnership with Microsoft where you can extend the SD-WAN fabric, similar to AWS, on-prem into Azure and leverage their virtual WAN backbone and make sure that all your security policies, your encryption, your traffic steering, app optimization can go from your site all the way into Azure as well. Next up, with Microsoft again, we're enhancing our partnership on Office 365. We actually, this is not the only SaaS service we work with, but this is the most recent announcement from us. And what we do here is we exchange telemetry data with Office 365 to ensure that you get the best experience. And our testing has shown that you can get 40% or better performance, better experience with Office 365 with the Cisco SD-WAN solution. The reason this is important is Microsoft says connect into Office 365 as directly as you can and leverage the internet if you need to, but connect to my backbone as quickly as you can. But over time, the internet path may not be the best. You may need to use your MPLS service. You may actually need to go to another regional hub or to your headquarters to get the best O365 experience. And with our SD-WAN solution, working with Microsoft, we're continuously monitoring every connection, every option that you have in order to route that traffic using the best path possible to deliver the best experience. SD-WAN architecture, ACI, Cisco security, all providing a consistent approach on-prem or in the cloud, and doing it with the industry-leading partners in this space so that you have an end-to-end solution. You can imagine as we go forward, so if you look forward, a lot of the talk has been how do you bring sites, branches, and connect them into the cloud. And as you can see, cloud-to-cloud connectivity, peering connections, leveraging Direct Connect, express routes, all of the new capabilities and requirements from cloud is what our SD-WAN architecture and solution will continue to deliver upon. So a lot of exciting things happening here. There's a lot of sessions at Cisco Live where you can get a lot more details on what's happening from a cloud point of view. I now want to switch gears and talk about the mobile workspace, or the modern workspace. In this modern workspace, it is absolutely mobile first. And mobile first could be Wi-Fi, it could be cellular, 4G, 5G. For the things that are connecting, it could be Zigbee, Thread, it could be any IoT protocol. But it is absolutely a mobile first world. At the same time, it needs to be fully integrated. As you roam from one environment to the other, your experiences need to be seamless. And this modern workspace has to adapt. If a different type of client comes in, or if there's a lot more users in a particular space, we need to be able to provide the performance, the capacity needed to ensure the best experience for everyone at all times. In the modern workspace, things cannot go down. In a mobile-first world, it cannot be that your wireless service is out because you're doing an upgrade or because more users connected to the network. So how do we leverage the power of data, the power of the infrastructure, and the architecture to address these needs? So if you just take a look at just a random sort of sample of a workspace, you can see that you have all kinds of clients connecting. You might have clients that do need to be wired in. They just require 10 gigabit performance, very, very high performance, and it's better to just wire them in. You're going to find probably that the majority of clients can be wireless, but they can be running all kinds of wireless stacks. And so how do you ensure that you can provide the best experience based on the capability of every client using the wireless technology? You're also going to find all kinds of things that are connecting, and they may not be Wi-Fi at all. They may be Bluetooth, BLE, they might be Zigbee, Thread. How do you manage those? And then you have shared spaces, you have conference rooms, you have collaboration. There's a lot of different things that are happening in this workspace that you need to manage. How do you provide the best high-speed connectivity? How do we provide mobile collaboration? So you have voice and video on your mobile device and any kind of mobile device. How do we make sure that IoT devices can connect in? You can securely classify them, but your users and your devices don't end up infecting each other. So that connected coffee machine, if somebody compromises that coffee machine, that threat should not be allowed to proliferate throughout the infrastructure, throughout the environment. And how do we make sure you get the, you saw the WebEx announcements. How do you get the best experience for WebEx in this environment all the time? Now, how do you also, in this space, leverage the power of location data? So how do you know, for example, that a conference room is reserved, but nobody's in it? One is occupied, maybe it's not reserved, and another one is open. How can we integrate your collaboration world with location analytics and your mobile experience to help you find that free and open conference room very quickly? So that's just one example of location-based data, but you can imagine in retail for guest experience or in healthcare for patient care asset tracking, location analytics becomes very, very important. So let's talk about the stack, the intent-based networking stack that we deliver to help you address all of these needs. Let me start from the bottom. It all starts with infrastructure that is highly programmable, that is highly reliable. You can use netconf yang APIs, OpenConfig APIs to provision it. You can do in-service software upgrades. You can do rolling access point upgrades, which means that on a floor, you don't lose 100% of the connectivity because we can upgrade sets of access points at a time. And then we can upgrade the controller without bringing the wireless controller down at all. We can also provide patching, where instead of upgrading the entire software, you can just apply that one change that you need to the software. And finally, that modern operating system needs to provide streaming telemetry. How can I understand what's going on in the infrastructure to optimize it, as well as to understand what security threats might be there? On the access point side, it's also really important that they're not only Wi-Fi 6 access points, they actually can speak BLE, Zigbee, Thread. They can support app hosting, where if I need to make a local decision for those devices that are coming in, I can do that in the infrastructure. So that's what the Cat9K provides. The Catalyst 9000 is switching and wireless access points and wireless controllers all in one family, all running the iOS XE operating system. Consistent end-to-end. It's been the most successful product in company history, fastest ramping product in Cisco history, continues to be extremely powerful. But it all starts with infrastructure that is ready for intent-based networking with the Cat9K. Next up, we have some security products. So StealthWatch, and as I talked about StealthWatch Cloud, you also have StealthWatch for your on-prem traffic. How do we help you detect threats? And not only threats in open traffic, but given that perhaps 60, 70% of the traffic, even your LAN, is encrypted, how do you detect threats that may be trying to proliferate inside encrypted flows? And that's a capability that with the Cat9K and StealthWatch, you can get. Then you move into ICE, where Cisco Identity Service Engine helps you identify everything that's connecting, place them into groups, make sure that they are compliant with your business policy, and give them the right access rights into the infrastructure. And then on top of that, you have Cisco DNA Center. This is the controller for this environment. Cisco DNA Center is about providing the automation for all of that underlying infrastructure. Number one, you plug a switch in, you plug an access point in, it automatically comes up with the right software image, right configuration, and as you want to change software, you can automate the software management in its entire life cycle. Number one. Number two, we take all of that streaming telemetry, we apply artificial intelligence, machine learning to it, and we help you identify what are the most important issues. Why are clients having low throughput on these access points on this floor, and what you need to do to resolve that issue. So network assurance with AI ML becomes very critical. And DNA Center also helps you create a fabric, just like you have a fabric in the data center or a fabric in the WAN with SD-WAN. It helps you create a fabric in your campus environment or your branch environment to keep all your users segmented with software-defined access. So how do you take, for example, doctors and give them access to medical records and give patients access to the patient app and the internet, but nothing else? And how do we make sure the heart rate monitors are securely segmented from the rest of the infrastructure? Network segmentation, fully automated, is what DNA Center does with software-defined access with, again, the underlying Cat9K infrastructure. And then I talked a little bit about location analytics, and this is something we provide with Cisco DNA Spaces. Cisco DNA Spaces is a cloud-based solution. So you take your wireless controller, point it to DNA Spaces, and it starts making sense of all your XY location data. It makes it digitally available for you. It makes it relevant, where you now know that this is actually in my retail store, this is my pharmacy area, this is my electronics area. So where are you and what are you consuming? Where are you physically present and what are you trying to do? And it then integrates with ecosystem partners to provide complete solutions. So that's the entire stack, and we've been building out this stack for many, many years. One question you might have is, well, what about 5G? You know, like, can I just use 5G, or do I need Wi-Fi 6? What do I need to do? And the way we look at it is, there's a continuum here. We're going to see Wi-Fi 6 and 5G coexist. If you have a very high-density outdoor type environment in particular, 5G is absolutely the best solution. If you need a cost-effective indoor solution, Wi-Fi 6 is the best answer. Wi-Fi 6 has brought in many of the advantages. It is more deterministic. You can get much higher throughput, much higher performance with the new standard. You can get better latency. You can also get much better battery life on your end devices. So there's tremendous benefits to Wi-Fi 6. It's here and now. We have access points with the Catalyst 9100 already shipping, so doing great. And we believe it's going to be a world that coexists. Now, we do think that from branch locations, a lot of the uplinks, the backhaul, is going to become 5G based. And so we think that's going to be a tremendous application for 5G. And we think that as part of our open roaming work and our partnerships with service providers, we need to help provide better roaming between Wi-Fi environments and 5G environments. So those are kind of things you can look forward to, but it is going to be a world where it's 5G and Wi-Fi 6. Once again, in that modern workspace, the partnerships are really important. We've been partnering with Apple for many years. With Apple, it started out with you can prioritize different applications and different traffic coming from your Apple end device. Okay? Apple fast lane capability is what we called it. We then moved into capabilities such as getting analytics from an iOS device inside Cisco DNA Center. So not only can I tell you what the AP is seeing, I can also tell you what your iPad or your iPhone is saying. Tremendous. Now, at the same time, every time there's a new standard that comes out or a new device that comes out, we spend a lot of time doing interoperability testing to make sure Apple devices with a Cisco wireless, Cisco Wi-Fi 6 infrastructure gives you the best throughput, best experience, best roaming capabilities, like everything works in the best way possible. And we're now doing some similar things with Samsung, but the Apple partnership has been going on for multiple years and looking forward to continuing to drive that. We recently started partnering with Stanley Healthcare. And this is a great example where we take the location analytics and we plug in with Stanley to do a baby monitoring solution inside a hospital. It used to take Stanley a long time to make sure that the underlying infrastructure could support their application need. But by partnering with Cisco, with Cisco's wireless infrastructure and Cisco DNA Spaces, Stanley can start offering that solution very quickly, and the customer can manage their infrastructure but have peace of mind that that baby monitoring solution works all the time. And similarly, we've had a partnership with Local Measure for several years now, where engaging customers in a venue is very high quality, very rich experience, and they can do it very easily now on top of our access stack with DNA Spaces. So partnerships in this space are also extremely important for us. So I'm going to summarize cloud and the modern workspace this way. This is the Cisco strategy. We are really focused on IT consistency. One set of tools for connectivity, for security, for application experience, for policy, whether you have workloads on-prem or whether you are using multiple cloud providers. Number one. Number two, innovating using an architectural approach using intent-based networking, both for SD-WAN as well as for your access environment. And then making sure we are partnering with the industry leaders that you're also working with to provide you solutions that cut across the entire network and the entire solution. As I said, there's a lot of sessions where you can get more information. There's a lot of demos in the World of Solutions and in other places at this venue. So continue your learning. I'll be here for questions for a few minutes as well. And thank you very much for attending Cisco Live, and enjoy the rest of the show.